Hello everyone, Devil's Avocado here, and I have something to confess. And that confession is that I didn't really like the new season of Stranger Things. I know, but hear me out. I think we all knew that it couldn't be as good as the first season, and that it wouldn't be as good as the first season, but the hype train was barreling full speed ahead with no signs of stopping. It got me, a notoriously cynical person, actually a little excited for the second season. I even woke up early to watch the first episode and binged it the rest of the day. At first, when I began to see this season's flaws, I chalked it up to me having high hopes for the show. But even as I adjusted my expectations, Stranger Things continued to let me down. After watching all the episodes, I think I can boil it down to a few core problems. But first, we need to ask ourselves, what held the first season together so well? What kept us engaged for the entirety of that series? It was the intrigue, the strange things that we were discovering along the way. Yes, the characters were endearing, and the show's nostalgic style helped, but they were never the main focus of the series, nor should they have been. The first season was also a very self-contained story. The biggest issue with this season is that there's basically no mystery left to draw us in as an audience. Stranger Things Season 2 isn't strange enough. So, let's recap. By the end of the first season, we've seen and defeated the Demogorgon, we've seen the Upside Down, we've uncovered Elle's backstory, Papa was killed, and it all wrapped up rather nicely. Well, besides the slugs that Will was puking up. So, what does this new season add? A bigger monster, more of the same monsters, a big sister for Elle, and a couple new members of the cast for the town. Besides that, there's really nothing else, and the new monster isn't compelling, and Elle's sister is just a throwaway plot device for one episode. Most of everything else we see in this season is rehashed from the first, and an idea or concept can only hold its mystery for so long after we've first seen it. The first season tied up so many loose ends, so revisiting them no longer holds the same weight as before. So, I broke down these issues into three categories: conveniences, cliches, and miscellaneous. Let's start with convenience. The amount of convenience that propels this plot forward is ridiculous. And most of the time, the convenience violates the show's own internal logic. Here's an example. Take Elle's escape from the Upside Down after the Season 1 finale. Isn't it just a little too lucky that she finds a tear in the wall right after she gets put into the Upside Down? And I know that some of you are going to say, well, that's the tear that the Demogorgon broke through during the Season 1 finale. It isn't. I checked. First, the hole would be Demogorgon-sized, and 11 wouldn't have to break through the bricks. Second, look where the Demogorgon broke through. Then look where Elle broke through. Notice the lockers in one shot, but not the other? It just really seems to me that this plot point was revolved way too easily and way too quickly. Dustin's pet Demogorgon Dart is also a prime example of the show breaking its own logic for convenience sake. We're told that the main monster and its Demodog minions are part of a hive mind, but somehow Dart is individualistic enough to develop a bond with Dustin and override the main monster's commands? But isn't Dart just an extension of the hive mind? How does it develop this bond? Through the powers of Three Musketeers chocolate bars? We can only assume that Dart is an extension of the main monster's will because Dart deactivates after Anakin blows up the Trade Federation control ships. Come on, people. Also, do they ever explain where the other Demodogs come from? I've watched this season a couple times while making this review, but I couldn't find anything explaining how they multiplied. Did Dart molt and reproduce 10 or 15 or 30 other Demodogs? I always assumed that Dart was the one that came from Will, but did the rest come from Will too? Was he just spewing out Demoslug after Demoslug? Another example of the show breaking its own logic for convenience is when Hopper kills the Demodogs during the season finale, when he and an entire facility of trained personnel couldn't kill any in the previous episode. Did he not save Bob because he wants to sleep with Joyce? In the finale, he mops the floor with the Demodogs, but he couldn't hit one when he was trying to save poor old Bob. And again, this just points to the show breaking its own logic and being convenient just for the plot's sake. It's frustrating because it'll do something in one episode and then completely contradict it in the next. And I don't know if that's frustrating to other people, but it's very frustrating to me. This will be my final example for conveniences, but there's a few more in the show if you look. And this is Dr. Owens being alive during the season finale. I wasn't really surprised when they found Dr. Owens alive, considering he's one of, if not the only named member from that facility. But the context and situation around that discovery makes zero sense. Why didn't the Demodogs kill him, and like everyone else? Did he fight them off? It seems really obvious that he exists only for the point of the plot, just so he can give Hopper Elle's birth certificate at the end of the season finale. I think these examples reflect that, in a lot of ways, the writers just took the easy way out when trying to push the plot forward. Alright, next is cliches, but first, we're gonna hear a word from our sponsors, Kentucky Fried Chicken.
I was gonna make that baked ziti you guys like so much, but I just forgot about the time, and then before you know it, oh my God, it's 5 o'clock.
It's fine.
Right.
It's great.
I love KFC.
Sales sign out in your yard. Is that the neighbors, or?
You want to tell them? Now, and he agreed to take the case.
Oh, that's great. This finger looking good.
Alright, cliches. Admittedly, Stranger Things has always been an homage to the sci-fi horror genre of the 1980s, but I never felt like it was too cliched or that it borrowed too heavily from its predecessors. But this season didn't seem to walk that balance as well as I thought the first season did. Even in the dialogue, there's some choices in the season that drive me absolutely insane because they're lines we've heard 1,000 times and they've been forever burned into our collective consciousness through overuse. Check this one example out.
You should do stand-up acts. There's a spot a few blocks away.
Hello?
Well. What do we have here?
How many times have you heard that before? When I first saw that scene, I knew exactly what he was going to say by the first well. I know it sounds like nitpicking, and it is, but it's still bad dialogue. And again, I know the show is an homage, but that does not excuse lazy writing. Next, I'm going to give you the perfect love story formula that you can use a million times, and it doesn't have to be original. You don't have to put any effort into it. They didn't in this show, and everyone seems to be fine with it. So, here's the formula for an easy romance story that apparently everybody will be fine with, even though they've seen it a million times before. Alright, the formula goes, you need 1, star-crossed lovers from different cliques. You need to add a jealous asshole boyfriend character who keeps them apart. Then you need to subtract the boyfriend from the picture by adding a convenient plot device that comes out of nowhere and takes the boyfriend out of the picture. Then you need to add a obviously pointless conflict that's supposed to put doubt in the minds of the viewer. Oh my God, will they or won't they? Will they ever get together? Multiply by a we're just friends really moment. Lastly, you need to multiply all of these by a sleeping in different rooms but can't sleep because they're just too infatuated with each other, so they get up for a glass of warm milk but run into each other only to scurry awkwardly to their rooms before finally giving into their urges scene. And the sum of all that, for you guys, will be a successful romance that you can use in any context, and no one will mind. In all seriousness though, I guarantee you've seen this sequence of events a million times. Well, maybe if you consumed an unhealthy amount of television like I have. Honestly, it had me rolling my eyes so many times at how fucking railroaded and predictable it was. Bob's death is another plot device that really bugs me because I don't understand why he's so relieved to see Joyce that he forgets about the goddamn interdimensional demons that are chasing after him.
They're demons. They're frickin' interdimensional invaders, okay? I'll just say it. Make fun of me all you want.
It's just way too convenient, way too cliched. They could do easily much better. Alright, I'm just gonna go into miscellaneous now. So, the second season has a lot of undeserved, cheap jump scares. They just throw a loud noise at the audience after zero build-up to scare them. That's not scary, that's startling. Loud noises startle pretty much every animal. It's just a natural response. And the audience will forget it immediately because it isn't memorable or special. Even the visuals suffer from this laziness. If you look at this scene, you can totally tell that they filmed the ring wraith on location, and Elle has just been filmed in a studio and added it in post. Honestly, it's ridiculously lazy, and I just can't believe they did this, and no one's talking about it. I think this is a result of a lack of focus, but I think the tone throughout the season, especially in the season finale, was just all over the place. Just watch this transition between scenes.
Their driveway is pretty dark this time of night. So drive slowly.
Always.
And when you see Mike, tell him to come home already, okay?
You're a real lifesaver, you know that.
Anytime.
I'll see you later. It's not like it was before.
I found the finale to be completely devoid of urgency, and that's something the first season had in spades. First season, one of the first scenes is Will's disappearance, and this provides the show with an immediate sense of urgency and raised stakes. We as an audience are already intrigued because we want to know what got Will and where he is. And Beth's death later in that season only serves of a reminder of the grave danger that Will faces. In the second season, we're left to deal with Freaks and Geeks light for 4 or 5 episodes before things really ramp up. I actually like the characters, and like I said in the beginning, I think they're pretty endearing. Same with the actors. I think they did well, especially for child actors. But again, they were never the central focus. It's the paranormal events that drove the momentum of the first season. And again, another example of the show just being insanely derivative is the way the monster is defeated in the season finale of season 2 is nearly identical to the way the Demogorgon was defeated in season 1. It's just... it just copies it way too closely for me to be comfortable with it and me to give it a pass. And I know that doesn't matter, I don't really have much say or anything, I'm just some dude making videos in his bedroom. After all those complaints, I really feel like I should say something nice. I actually really enjoy the show, and especially its cinematography. I think the biggest issue is they wanted to make the same leap that happened between Alien and Aliens. But the issue here is that everything they added resulted in a lack of focus in the second season. If you look at the transition from Alien to Aliens and Stranger Things Season 1 to Stranger Things Season 2, there's a lot of parallels. It has more monsters, like aliens. The aliens and their motivations are revealed to be controlled by a creature at the helm of a hive mind with a eggplant-looking head. And even throughout the season, there's a lot of references and callbacks to aliens. Just the fact that Burke's in it, the alien-like tunnels underground, when the Marines say, "Stay frosty" to each other, and their motion tracker sounds are almost identical to the ones in Aliens. I just don't think this transition worked out well for Stranger Things. I attribute a lot of the first season's success to how focused and tight the story was, whereas Season 2 to me just had a general lack of focus, and it just felt inconsistent and all over the place. Personally, I really wish they would have just left this storyline behind and would have just maybe created an anthology series where maybe next season we'd go to another small town in the United States and have to deal with some other paranormal, metaphysical event. That way, we could constantly be discovering new strange things in the same self-contained way as the first season of Stranger Things. I'd like to thank you all for watching the video. This is my first YouTube video, and maybe I'll make more. We'll see how this one goes. It's been fun. Thanks. Another thing that stuck out to me in this season was this.
Lucas, what's going on?
Hold on!
Did you guys hear that? I think these kids ought to be more scared of an aerial frostworm assault than of these demodogs.